These are the 5 biggest mistakes I see people make when it comes to managing blood sugar levels on Thanksgiving and how to avoid them. If you're new here, I'm Erin. I'm a diabetes educator and a registered dietitian, and I see these mistakes all of the time, so I want to help you prevent them tomorrow. Mistake number 1 is skipping meals and saving up your calories for the Thanksgiving meal. This is a terrible idea. It always backfires. When you try to save up your calories for the meal, you become excessively hungry. Also, your blood sugar levels can drop, and then you're dealing with hypoglycemia as well. What this does, and I know this from personal experience from my clients as well as what the research shows us, is that this actually causes you to eat more and to eat too much later on. And I think that makes sense because you get ravenous and then you're not eating mindfully. You're eating just as quickly as possible to get all the food in, and that is where you eat way too much. You don't even enjoy it, and you're guaranteed to spike your blood sugar after the meal. So instead, eat balanced meals throughout the day leading up to Thanksgiving. And I like to recommend you eat more of the foods that you're probably not going to have at the Thanksgiving meal. So a lot of lean proteins, vegetables, slow digested carbs, those are easy to have as breakfast and an early lunch before the Thanksgiving meal. It could be something like an egg omelet with vegetables inside, or overnight oats, or a nice salad with some kind of lean protein on top and just a little bit of dressing on the side. Just that roughage, that fiber, that protein, it's going to fill you up, curbs appetite, and still allows you to indulge in a nice Thanksgiving dinner later on. Now, mistake number 2 I see is just figuring, why bother? I'm not going to move today because I'm already going to be eating too much, and what's the point? That's not the right thought. Getting in movement during the Thanksgiving day is incredibly important for a few reasons. Number 1, movement helps us to feel more energized. And when you feel better, you have more energy, you can think more clearly, you can eat more mindfully. The second thing it does is movement, even small amounts of movement, makes our body more insulin sensitive, which means that you're going to be more receptive to the insulin your body's producing, or if you're taking external insulin, to that as well. And it's going to make it easier to manage blood sugar. And remember, with movement, it doesn't have to be hitting the gym or trying to find an hour of time to exercise. Every little bit of movement counts. So even if it's 5 minutes here or 5 minutes there, you walk around, get your energy up, or put on a fun song and dance to music, that is still movement, and that is going to make a huge difference when it comes to keeping your blood sugar in check at Thanksgiving. Number 3, the big mistake I see is that when you get to that Thanksgiving meal, the spread of food is in front of you, you just start filling your plate. You're not really thinking, you're just kind of grabbing everything that looks good and filling it on your plate. Don't do that. Instead, take a step back and use what I call the rating scale. So what I like to recommend is that you look at all of the options in front of you first, and then say to yourself, on a scale of 1 to 10, what are the 9s and 10s? What are the things I absolutely love, or the things I can only really get right now in the holidays? And that is what I recommend you fill your plate with. Don't really bother with the rest of the stuff if you don't truly love it. And what this does is, instead of, filling your plate as you move along and you're like, oh, that looks good, I'll put some there, and oh, I love that even more, let me put that there, and we put everything on our plate. Well, chances are, if it's on your plate, you're sitting down, it's in front of you, you're socializing, you're chatting, you're going to eat what's there. So what I would recommend is that you use that rating system first, so you're only putting the foods on your plate that you truly, truly love. Now, mistake number 4 I see at Thanksgiving is not paying attention to where you sit. Now, this sounds kind of funny, but if you sit down and the food is served family style, it's all in front of you, and you sit down in front of your absolute favorite dish, or maybe it's not even your favorite dish, but just something really tempting like dinner rolls, and you're sitting there and it's right next to you, chances are you're going to just keep putting more on your plate. Now, that might not happen for everybody, but it happens to a lot of us, myself included. So strategically try to sit where there's a dish that you can feel, good about having seconds or even thirds of. So I like to sit by maybe the white meat turkey, or if there's a vegetable side, just trying to sit there. So that way, if I do want more of the mashed potatoes or the dinner rolls, I have to actively ask for them and get up and get them. So it's more of a mindful behavior. If I really want that dinner roll, I'm thinking about it, and I'm not just mindlessly grabbing it because it's just there and it's so convenient. So there's nothing wrong with having a little bit more of those choices, but if you strategically sit so it's not so accessible, you just think through more and you're more mindful and intentional about adding those foods to your plate. And the 5th mistake I see so many people make at Thanksgiving is worrying about what other people think. Now, I want you to first realize that you're probably worrying about this more than you need to, but second, just really work on this phrase. Work on saying this one phrase to your loved ones. Mind your own plate. all that means is you're telling people to pay attention to what they're eating and don't worry about yours. If your family members know you're managing diabetes, or maybe you have a goal to lose weight, you're going to find that somebody's probably going to say something like, ooh, should you really be eating that with that diabetes? Or, oh, do you think you should have that much of that if you're trying to lose weight? Their opinions don't matter when it comes to food, okay? And they're coming from a place of love. They probably think they're being helpful, but they're not. And you don't need to worry about that. What you need to do is just focus on you. Know in your heart what you're doing is best for you and your body. And even if you're not making the best choice for food on Thanksgiving, so what? It's one meal. It's not going to sabotage your entire health goals, okay? It's just not. It is one holiday. So take that stress off and just work on a phrase, whether you want to say mind your own plate to family members, or role play something you think is more appropriate to your family members. Sometimes it could just be a sweet phrase to say, oh, thanks so much for noticing, but I already talked with my healthcare team about how I was going to handle the holidays today, and I'm doing what's right for my body. So don't worry, I got this. Whatever works for you, but have that internal conversation in your mind right now, role play it, know how you're going to handle those situations if they pop up, because they probably will. And that way you can just move on with your day and enjoy it, and don't let that impact or stress you out on the holidays. So those are my 5 tips. Those are the mistakes I see, how to avoid them. And I hope you have a very wonderful Thanksgiving with your loved ones. And I'm thankful for you and for you being here. So I hope this helps. Happy Thanksgiving.